Guys, welcome to the Evolve Journey. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks to the Nightclub and Bar Show for having me back again this year. Wish I was with you in Vegas, but I actually am in Jack Rose, the beautiful Jack Rose in Washington, D.C. And to be honest with you, it's just as good. So I wish you guys could all be here, but I'm going to take you through, again, this Evolve Journey that we're dealing with right now, especially during the pandemic, in driving demand with digital tactics. And this is something that's become even more important during this time because we don't have that face-to-face customer service that we did before. So really we have to create that relationship online. So I want to take you through this real quick. Hopefully you guys can get some great stuff out of it and apply it to your own restaurants and bars out there. And let's get cracking, all right? So our discussion today and the topics and highlights that we're going to cover are where we need to be and how to simplify it, the tools that are going to make these things easier, and in my opinion, the best 2020 and 2021 advertising measurements that you can use for good return on investment for any advertising that you're doing. And that's one thing that we typically are always dealing with right now, especially being a restaurant or a bar owner, is, yeah, we're advertising, but how are we tracking that return on investment? It's one of the first questions you always ask someone when you decide to spend money with them to advertise your business, yet the reporting is just a little bit off. So what we want to do is we want to bring that back in and really get down to the numbers. What matters to you? And I know exactly what matters to you. You're thinking about it right now. I want to know how many people come into my bar or how many people come into my restaurant from the money I'm spending on my advertising, right? And I want to know those numbers. So that's what we're going to get into. And I'm going to show you how we actually do that. But I also want to talk about something that we overlook constantly inside of our restaurants and bars, and that's our Wi-Fi system. A lot of the missing opportunities that we have are right in front of us, and we actually spend money on it, but we're not doing anything with it. So a lot of you right now are going to say, yes, we've got free Wi-Fi in our restaurant and bar. My question to you is this: is it really free? Well, it's free to your customers, but it's not free to you. You're paying for it. And then when that customer decides to come into your beautiful restaurant, just like the beautiful Jack Rose that we're in right now, and they're inside, their cellular service kind of dampens a little bit. If you ever notice that, you walk into a restaurant or a bar and your cell service is just not as good as it was when you were outside, okay? And that's because there's so many things going on. So when you connect to that Wi-Fi system and it's free Wi-Fi, you as the business owner have no information about that customer that's inside your business right now. But there are ways that you can track that information. So it's a missing opportunity. It's a tool that you have inside your business, but you're not taking full advantage of it. And I want to show you guys some things of why taking advantage of it is going to make a lot of sense. We're also going to discuss social media and all the opportunities that are there. What you've noticed during the pandemic is social media and all the platforms that are out there currently have jumped in numbers that we've never seen before, especially apps like TikTok, especially apps like Twitter. Those two mobile applications right there have done very, very well during the pandemic. One of the things that we also want to pay attention to is something that's brand new, which is Instagram Reels, which is very similar to TikTok. And a lot of the times what you find is when you have new things that come out on platforms, those specific platforms are very advantageous to those new products that they let out. So if you haven't done an Instagram Reel for your restaurant or bar, do it right now. It's one of the easiest ways to show up on an Explore page for Instagram. I know it sounds crazy, but you're gonna find a lot of information, a lot of content right from putting up an Instagram Reel. You're gonna see a lot of views, probably more views than you've ever seen before posting a video on Instagram. TikTok's great for that age group between 18 and 25. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to be like, I don't want 18-year-olds in my bar. And that's totally fine. But what you've also found during the pandemic is that there are a lot of up-aged, upgraded people on TikTok that were on Instagram that have moved over because that platform is very new, it's very fresh, and the content on it is not as serious as the content on these other platforms. And the one thing that we want the most right now during this time is separation from what's going on in the real world. We want to have ourselves entertained by others that are taking the time to do that. So TikTok is a great place for it. It's a place that you don't have to get as serious. And really, it's a great way for you to humanize the brand that you have for your bar or for your restaurant. So it's one that I 100% think that you guys should all try. Put somebody in charge of it at your business. I don't believe an agency should take care of it. It's a grassroots type of social media marketing. And I believe that you guys will get a lot of attention out of it. You can also quickly share that same content across the board right from within the app. So it's a great app to use. One of the other ones that I always feel like is looked down upon and or not used a lot is your Google My Business profile. Google is the epicenter of the world. It's where we all want to go and find out information. If we want to watch information, if we easily learn via audio or seeing things, we go to YouTube. But if we go to Google, that's where we want to read something. We want to take that content in quickly. So if we want to find something near us or we want to get information quickly, we've got to Google it. So when we Google that information, we want your restaurant or bar to have a nice, clean, smooth Google My Business page that has all the information on it. Now, Google updated recently, so now you can add offers there, you can now offer images there, you can put social media posts, daily social media posts up there using words that are important to your business for when people are searching for it. And there's just so many things that you can do with that specific page, as well as answer text messages from people or customers that want information about your business. They can simply hit one button, they can text message you directly. It's something that I find is very, very important. And if it's not tied in directly to your management or C-level with a restaurant or a bar, it's something that you're missing out on, and a lot of opportunities that could be there, especially for catering or parties, things like that. Those things are happening right now in these restaurants as long as they're social distance. It's things that you can really use, and it's a great way for that restaurant and or bar to make money. So don't miss again on those opportunities of Google My Business page. It's amazing. And again, everything that is leveraged on Google is via reviews. So the more and the better reviews that you have on your Google My Business page, the higher you're going to show up in searches. That's one thing that you just cannot forget. So if you guys aren't doing anything else at all, respond to those Google reviews that you're getting from the great customers that are coming in and supporting your business during this time. It's really, really important. So how to battle time and the tools of the trade. And this is something where I find a lot of people are going, and it's really what I hear most of the time is, I don't have time to do that. It's honestly why we have a majority of the clients that we have. It's because the owners of these businesses or the management of these businesses, they're taking care of the customers and they're taking care of the employees. And with those two things, the last thing that they want to be able to take care of is the digital footprint of the business. So they hire us to take care of it. Now, you guys can do it on your own, and a lot of times you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to post. I don't know what kind of content to come up with. There's a lot of mobile applications out there that can help you out and assist you in coming up with the content very, very fast and quick. One that I really, really like is, and one that's very popular right now, is creating memes online. Memes do very, very well. You can take anything and create it, especially into the restaurant or bar business. The restaurant and bar business is one of the most humorous businesses out there. Customers, you have employees, they all have funny stories, especially about obviously the Karens and the Kens that come into the businesses and cause these issues. So memes are something that I am I'm very high on right now, and it's something that I believe will do very, very well. And it's a great way to mix up the content that you're putting out currently on your social media. A lot of the times you guys are just posting pictures of food, posting pictures of drinks, especially if you're a bar, but you're not mixing it up at all. You're not entertaining, you're not keeping the humor and splitting up that feed or that grid for your followers. So Mematic is great. This way, it's a great mobile application you can download. It'll help you quickly make a meme. It shows you the newest and freshest ones that are out there. You can direct it directly towards your bar or your restaurant. You can actually even have it branded to there, and it's a free application that you can download to be able to do it. So don't worry about getting professional memes done. You can do it yourself with that app called Mematic. Another one is Spark Post, which I really, really like. It's an Adobe platform. And it really helps you if you're dealing with a content creation issue where you just can't come up with your own content, or you're struggling from a creative standpoint. Maybe you don't have the money to go pay somebody to do those things. I think Spark Post is one of the best things that you can get out there. You do have to have an Adobe account to get that, but I highly, highly recommend it. And it's something that I think will up your game, especially from an aesthetic standpoint. Obviously, Canva is a very, very good one. Mojo and Design Lab are two mobile applications you can put on your phone. Again, from a design standpoint, they're point and click. Anybody can use them, from an 11-year-old person to a 50, 60-year-old person. They can design something that looks really, really beautiful, and you can use that for your social media as well, and it stays branded, so they save all the content for you. These are things that I believe that can make things easier and faster for you from a content distribution standpoint, and they're apps that are just very, very easy to use, and that's what I want you guys to be able to do. But those are a couple of my favorites that we're currently using right now. So are you tracking your advertising dollars? And I always ask that. That's one of the first questions I ask when I sit down with anybody that owns a restaurant or a bar is, obviously you have advertising dollars going out. Where are those advertising dollars going? Well, sometimes they know, right? But they don't, once they pay that money for the advertising, they have no way of tracking the money, and that's a real big problem. One of the things that you need to do in a restaurant and bar is you need to look at that report consistently about your expenditures, the money that's going out, the money that's coming in, and you got to balance that. So what we want to do is we want to take our digital advertising and we want to go, okay, we're running ads, we're running digital ads. We know we have to do that. It's something that you have to do nowadays. But how many people, like I said before, are coming into the business and how are we doing that? So if we're going to run ads, we want to know, are they seeing those ads? A lot of the times, it's not the ad that's the problem, and this is what we blame it on a lot. Blame it on the content distribution when it's really not what it is. It's actually the targeting. Your assumption is, I want to run ads, and let's say you're on Facebook. One of the easiest things to do is click, I want to show this ad to people that follow my page and their friends. Here's the problem. Only 5% of people are seeing your organic posts anyway. Those friends of those people that follow your page, only 2% of those people are going to see it. That's why those are epic fails, and that's why we always end up saying, Facebook ads didn't work for us. Instagram ads didn't work for us. It's because the targeting was off. We just didn't know how to properly target the audience that we wanted to go after. And our assumption is this specific audience is the audience that wants to come to our business. And I always ask people too, I'm like, what's the average age of your customer? And they immediately look up like this. And they go, between the ages of 30 and 45. And I'm like, great, ages 30 to 45, that makes total sense. Where are you posting most of your organic posts during the day? And they say, Facebook. And then I ask them, let me ask you a real quick question. Most of the people that you know are between the ages of 30 and 45, do they spend more time on Instagram or Facebook just from a standpoint of knowing who's on those platforms? And their answer is always the same. I don't know. The answer is Instagram. They spend way more time on Instagram than they do on Facebook. The interesting part is that the older demographic on Facebook, like my parents, who are in their 70s, the only reason they're on Facebook is because they want to see pictures of my kids. They're not there to consume content, but when they do find content that they like a bar or a restaurant that they want to visit, they do it. So that is a great age group for Facebook, that older demographic, usually between the ages of 55 and 75, 85, 95, because what you'll find is this. My mom's Italian. She's 72 years old. She doesn't have her age on Facebook. Remember that. So don't target your ads just based on age groups, because most people don't actually put their birthday on there. It's one thing that I want you to pay attention to. So can you tell me the amount of time these people saw your ad? Most of the time you can't do that. You can't tell me how many times someone saw your ad. What is a good rate of people seeing your ad? Well, typically you want that person to see your ad anywhere between 3 to 7 times. That's about the average. Anything more than that is a massive success. And I know all of you have seen an ad that's followed you around the internet before. I know you've all seen that Facebook or Instagram ad that's chased you onto Amazon, then onto Instagram, then onto Facebook, then into Instagram stories. I know you've seen that. And what that is, that's retargeting. It's taking a custom audience and retargeting you until you decide to make that buying decision. And you make that buying decision eventually, and most likely you make it in bed at 11:30 at night on that 10th touch or that 7th touch or that 5th touch. It's when you're ready to make the purchase. But they followed you around enough and have branded content towards you directly to be able to get you to make that decision. One time is just not enough. So who exactly is your perfect customer? And we talked about that. Are you talking about age? Are you talking about sex, demographic, how much money they make? You have all of these things available to you. The question is, are you actually targeting correctly? And the answer most of the time is no. How many of them walked in the door? And this is the one thing that I feel like we make most of the issue on. If we have a customer that spends $1,000 in advertising, and let's say their per customer is $10, their customer's worth $10, and they spend $1,000 in advertising, and we actually brought in, let's say, 600 customers in 30 days on $1,000 ad spend, you guys do the math, okay? It's called a positive ROI, and that's what we want to be able to do. The only way you could track return on investment from any business spending it on advertising is how many people actually walk through the door. We have the technology to be able to do that nowadays. Most of the time, you guys don't even know that that technology is out there. 87% of America it would and is expected to be about 24 billion devices connected wirelessly to the internet, obviously by the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021. Now that 5G is out, you're going to see a lot of things start to move towards online, especially now, and a lot of them are younger. And what we're finding now is, look, I've got a 6 and 7-year-old child. Both of them are wired in. They know, not just because of what I do for a living, but it's how they learn now. It's how they do their daily education. They're online consistently. Obviously, we want them doing schoolwork consistently during the day, but that doesn't always happen, right? They find their way to YouTube or YouTube Kids, but they're wired in. It's a part of their life. It's how they function. It's not how we functioned when we grew up. but it's just a part of their life now. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to that and we're evolving our business consistently with that, because that young child will eventually, hopefully, become a customer of ours in the future. Tracking this walkthrough, and this is actually an example of a restaurant, and this is a real restaurant. This is a restaurant from Ocean City, Maryland. If you guys have never been there, it's a resort town. But this particular restaurant, this is a 30-day span. We drove in 641 people from 640 people from Facebook and 45 people from Instagram. The views were just over, it looks like 120,614 on Facebook. Over 7,200 people clicked on it. The frequency rate, which we talked about, how many times the average person saw it, was about 4 times, 3.8%. And the engagement was 3387, which is how many times people commented or liked or engaged on that actual post. What's interesting here is you're going to say, Todd, these are all great numbers, but how do we track this person from coming in? Well, this is exactly how it works. You have what's called a pixel, and the pixels are actually tracking code on an ad. It's a piece of code, that's it. And what happens is this person will actually see the ad, and when they decide to make physical contact with the business, we've tracked that MAC address from the device that they use to actually search the information or see the information online. And when they come into the business, there's a router that's inside of the business that's giving that free Wi-Fi away, like we talked about, right, for content and information in return to the business. And it actually pings that person's device and lets us know that that person saw the ad, engaged on the ad, clicked on the ad, and then actually walked through the door of the business. And now we're able to track that person so forth all the way through their journey. How long were they here? When they left, we asked them how we did to get a review, to generate a review. When they come back, we know that they've come back again, right? It automatically connects to that Wi-Fi. So what we're doing is we're literally tracking this person A to Z from the ad, they saw the ad, into the business, spent money, and now they're leaving and we're getting a review from it. It's a process, an automated process that you don't have to count on anyone inside your business to do for you. That's a really, really, really big opportunity. The question is, are you doing that? And most of the answers are, no, we're not doing that. We're boosting posts, we're running our own ads, but we don't know what we're running our ads for. We know that we're spending money, but we have no way to track that ROI, and you guys have got to do that. And there are restaurants and bars out there that are actually doing it. Why is this important in restaurants and bars? Well, I find it completely important from a data standpoint. If you create a Facebook, Instagram account, you create your ads, you don't have to give anything away for free. And a lot of people feel like they need to do this. They feel like they need to give away free appetizers and things of that nature. You don't need to do that. You need to pick your budget, you need to launch your ad, you need to watch the growth, and you have to consistently track how many new customers walk in the door. If you don't have that in place, it doesn't matter what you're giving away, it's just not going to work. You have to have a science behind everything. And I know that's probably been beaten into your head nowadays, but the science never lies. You guys have to follow the science, especially when it comes to running digital ads. Does this work in bars in Ocean City, Maryland? We already talked about that. 436 walkthroughs here, 25 from Instagram, and it results in a 3.3 return on people actually seeing it. So a 3.3% return on their ad spend, that's pretty damn good. There's not one bar or restaurant owner out there who's not gonna want a 3 to 4% return on the money that they spend for their advertising. Quick tips to generate more awareness, all right? So Google My Business. Are you posting daily to Google My Business? We discussed that, but it's something that I wanna, if you walk away with anything, again, this is a free thing that you can do on a daily basis for Google and for yourself to create more content for not only for your restaurant and bar, but for a way for people to become more aware about you using specific words when they type in and they're searching for something consistent with your business. So Jack Rose being a perfect example, if we want to find a happy hour down here in this area in DC around 16th Street, if we're consistently talking about our happy hour on Google My Business and posting about it, then the odds of us showing up in front of that customer are much, much higher when it only takes 2 seconds to post something like that. So that's one social media platform that I know you're probably ignoring, but it's one of the most important ones, and it's one that I don't want you to forget about. Instagram adult usage is up from 2018. We've already discussed that, and these numbers are actually going to probably surprise you a little bit. The ages of 18 to 29 are 67%. Ages 30 to 49, 47%. They're higher, 47% higher. And ages 50 to 64 are, it's very, very funny, are up 23%. And what's interesting about that goes back to the same thing that happened with Facebook. These platforms, these younger platforms, or were younger platforms, are now aging up. And the reason being is because now they're noticing that their children are on these platforms, and it's a great way that they can communicate with them. I can tell you, my parents can communicate way more with my kids if they just DM them on Instagram or TikTok, okay? And it's the only reason my 72-year-old mother has TikTok. Responding to reviews. This is one thing that you guys probably don't do. I guarantee it. If I pulled up most of your pages, I'm going to find that all these people are saying these amazing things about your business, and you're not even thanking them. Just imagine if somebody walked up into your restaurant or bar right now and said, hey man, or hey young lady, or yes ma'am, you guys did a great job today. I loved everything here. The service by John and Jane, they were unbelievable. Chef did awesome. The bartender was unbelievable, and you just walked away from them. The assumption is, man, that's a really rude owner. Well, it correlates online too. So if somebody takes the time to come into your business, spends hundreds of dollars, right, and then leaves, and then takes even more time to write a paragraph about how amazing you are, and you completely ignore it and don't say anything back to that person, that could be the difference between that customer coming in again or never coming back at all, or possibly changing their review. So take the time to respond to the reviews. Whether it's a Sunday at 5 o'clock, take your time and do it, okay? Now, this is not a plug for me, but we actually do this for a lot of businesses because, again, it goes back to time. That's how we started our business. It was based on helping with time in businesses that have to move quickly on a daily basis, just like restaurants and bars. But that would be one tip that I would 100% give you, not only from an SEO standpoint, but from a customer service standpoint. Respond to your reviews, especially your negative ones. Those negative reviews can be a thorn in your side, and it can completely change everything for a business, especially nowadays. So if you don't have a process in place to handle a negative review, I 100% recommend that you handle it correctly. And make sure that you take that offline first, and then if they don't want to respond to you offline, then make sure that you put a polite response and an apology up front on that negative review. And anything that I consider negative is 3 stars or below. Now the question is, can you get negative reviews removed? I'll answer this finally for everyone. Yes, you can get negative reviews removed. There's a strategy in place to be able to do this, and I'm going to give you a few tips on how to do that. Is it guaranteed? No. Does it work? Yes. Create branded GIFs for Instagram and Facebook stories. This is something that I find very, very interesting and is not used a lot. Most people spend a lot of time in Instagram stories and Facebook stories. You can go over to Giphy.com and you can create your own branded GIFs. It takes about a day to do it. And then people and your customers and your fans can actually use those same GIFs in their stories. And again, you should run contests using that. Use our GIFs in your stories and you get a free appetizer or whatever it is. I truly believe that that's one of the best ways you can communicate your brand online is by creating those types of things. So GIFs are very, very good, and it's something that I believe you should use. Again, all 4 of those things are free. So who are you? Right now you're looking at a couple of our clients here. So you have Jimmy's Famous Seafood, you've got Miss Shirley's Cafe, you've got Atlas Restaurant Group, 3 very successful restaurants. Most of them have been notably on the Food Network. And who are they, right? Human faces trigger every social media platform. That's one thing that I believe that most of you, again, are not doing. You're not showing the human faces of the people behind the business that are within the business. You're showing just food, you're just showing just drinks. And most of the time what you're gonna find is the content that is engaged with the most online is something that has a human being in it and or face. So it's one thing that I would recommend that you definitely do. And then what do you consume? A lot of the times we think that we're giving this content to our customers that they want to see, when in reality, that's not the content that they look at all. You'd be surprised. They actually look at the exact same type of content that you do. So what do you look at online? Well, think about it at 11:30 at night when you're laying in bed and you're looking at all the videos that you're looking at, the funny stuff, all the things that you're engaging with, and you say, hey, honey, you gotta look at this. Those types of things are exactly what they want to see on your own social media. It might not make sense, but this is where we talk about memes and things of that nature. You got to split up that grid a little bit and do something really interesting. And I think what you're going to find is the success rate's much, much higher. Contests, food bloggers, and hashtags. These are things that are also eliminated. Right here in beautiful Washington, D.C., you have some of the most successful food bloggers that are out there. But what you'll find is most of the restaurants and bars that are out here don't think to contact these food bloggers to leverage their audience. One good post from a food blogger that's got 200, 300,000 followers can completely level up your Instagram or your Facebook profile and some of your other platforms as well. So utilize those food bloggers. One free cheeseburger could result in 15 to 2,000 new followers, and these are new customers that are going to know about your business, and that usually is free. And contests, gigantic, huge. If you're not doing contests right now, you have a big, big opportunity to be able to do it. Again, I'm not a big fan of giving things away for free, but people like to engage with people that like to give. This is a very giving time in our world. So if you're willing to give maybe from something else or donate to something else during those contests, it's going to look really, really good for your business. So it's something to really, again, shake up that grid, shake up that news feed, and give the people that follow your pages something different to look at. I was going to tell you about that Google review removal thing, and maybe I will do that real, real fast as we get through this. One of the great little hacks that most people don't know about to remove a Google review is this. Take your Twitter account from your restaurant or your bar, go follow the Google My Business verified account on Twitter, make sure that you have the information about the review that you've flagged on that specific review on your Google review. Take that and then direct message the Google My Business Twitter account with the information from the negative review. And what you're gonna find is an actual real person will actually comment back to you, and it'll actually move you up that line a little bit faster. This has worked for many of my clients, and if you don't become one of my clients, that's okay. You can use this same tactic and it actually might end up working for you. So it's something that's worked for us in the past, and it's a nice little hack that most people don't know about. Handle a negative review or unhappy guest offline. And how did we do? I always say this, it's like a lot of the times when we go over to somebody and they had a really good experience, we always say, can you leave us a review? Can you leave us a review? And I always say, instead of saying that, why don't we ask a real good question? How did we do? This is a much, much better, uncomfortable, unintrusive question than saying, leave us a review. So I always say, what are we doing in a way to mitigate these negative reviews and generate more positive reviews? A couple of the tactics we use are very, very easy and very simple. After the dining experience is finished or after the bartending experience is finished, the bartender or the server will then just drop a card that says, how do we do? It has their name on it, and it leads to a portal or a review page that's branded to the business for the customer to tell us how we did. Was it a good experience, bad experience, whatever it is? And that customer can leave a negative review, and if they leave a negative review, that's fine. At least we know about it. That information is kept offline, and we can handle that customer offline and turn them into a positive experience and get that customer back in to make it better. From a positive experience, if somebody leaves a positive review, they then have the ability to leave a positive review on Facebook or Google My Business or TripAdvisor or wherever they want to leave them at that point. So you have to have a process in place. That's one. The other side is from the Wi-Fi standpoint. So when the customer leaves the business, we want to ask them how we did. Negative review, positive review, and we want to put that in place. We want to have a process in place to be able to do that. What you're going to find is you're going to find a lot of internal issues that you didn't even know about as an owner or a manager that are now being told to you by your customers, and you can really have a better kind of hold and handle on what's going on within the business. And that's really, really important nowadays, especially with what we're dealing with. There's obviously, these are just some negative reviews that we've been able to mitigate and keep offline. As you can see, these are real reviews. These are real negative reviews from real people that have left reviews, and I'm pointing down at that even worse from right now. And we're in a situation now where someone's opinion might think that it's one way, but in the reality, it's not that way at all. And one of those types of reviews, like that one that I'm pointing out right there, can completely damage and destroy a business overnight. A business that could have 4.8 reviews or 4.8% rating across the board, and one review like that can absolutely and completely destroy it. So you need to have a process in place to handle these situations. And if you can keep them offline, great. We still want to take care of that customer, but if you don't have a process in place, you're leaving yourself open to attack, and this is not the time in the world to come under attack, obviously. I always say Q&A, and I'm pretty sure that you guys are gonna ask some questions, and I'm pretty excited about that. So it's always free, at least for now. So if you guys decide that you want to have some questions for me, I can't wait to answer them.